Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now let the stories begin. Hi, everybody, and so excited to celebrate this new dear friend of mine who I'm going to call a new best friend because I can already tell. And as always, I like to pause and thank everyone for listening to the show, people all over the world. It blows my mind, and I'm in sheer gratitude and pure appreciation for the families, the young people, all ages that are listening to this show, because the stories that give you hope. So please continue to reach out, share your messages. You can even share them on our website, hollydowling.com. You can leave them on iTunes and iHeart and SoundCloud. And I just love hearing the stories that have really impacted your life. So today's guest, amazing, because there is a part of this story that I don't even know yet, and I can't wait to find out more about this incredible man who has recently been introduced to us. We were introduced by a dear friend who was also on my show, Gina Valente. So we have to give a shout out to our beautiful friend, Gina. So here we go. I'm going to introduce you to my new best friend, and we're going to act like right now we're sitting on the beach with our feet in the water. Welcome, Jeff Kubiak. Hey, buddy.
How are you, my friend? And boy, the water feels good on my toes.
Okay, I don't really need to hear it because we know we're pretending we're doing it. But how fun that we are pretending, and I'm still sitting in a little, I think today's high, I'm actually at home doing the show in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's 111. So what's it like for you?
It's a chilly 105.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not going to, all right, it is a little chilly. And you found your way to a cold room, right?
Yes, I did.
Well, so tell us, okay, so many things I want to talk about, and I can't wait to get to the book and the why behind the book, but just will you fill us in on what you're currently doing in your life? Because I would love to have had you when I was growing up. I'm just going to leave it like that. So tell us all about Jeff and what you're doing right now.
Well, thank you. And first, I want to reiterate the shout out because Gina has been a good friend of mine since 1984. And without her, you and I would not have been connected. So thank you, Gina. Yeah, so currently, I would consider myself a father, a husband, an educator, now an author, and an advocate for hashtag all kids, because not one child gets left behind in my world. And I learned the hard way. I try to do things now that I didn't have at growing up because school was not good to me or easy for me.
Well, you just took me. I'm getting goosies. This is what's going to happen. Because you just took us right there. So just a moment of celebration about you, my friend, is yes, you're an educator, you're a principal, and it looks like you've spent several years in education. And we're going to talk about your book because I have it in my hand and I just posted it today because I'm so excited about the book you did. You're passionate about kindness and love. So take us back to, we might as well, and by the way, let's just throw in another caveat. By the way, and we'll get to this too, but you happened to be in 1988 in Olympic trials in swimming. Am I right? You're like a big time former athlete, swimmer.
I was, yes. At one time I did very well. Yes. Yes.
I love that you're so humble. You're like, oh, giggle, giggle. Oh, yes, at one time I did do that, but oh, well, I'm all about other people now. And as to why Gina knew we'd love each other. And that goes back to the younger years when you were swimming. That's how you knew her, right? Because she was a swimmer.
That's correct. We swam at Cal State Northridge together.
Ooh, she's going to love that we're doing a show all about Gina. She has no idea.
It's perfect. I know.
So take us back to, this is going to get us back there. So obviously that's back in your days of education and swimming was a sport. Take us back to the couple of the pivotal moments for you, Jeff, where I'm going to pause and just breathe and just say, what was it that made education the challenge? And what was it that created this pivotal moment for you to how you're going to invest the rest of your life? Will you go back to those days?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small college town in Northern California, Davis. Both my parents and my sister actually went to UCD, but school was tough for me. I would call it now a very typical ADHD child before they even coined the term. But I couldn't sit still. I had a hard time learning. I was the class clown. Teachers did not take the time to get to know me or understand me. Learning was difficult. Fifth grade, I had my head slammed against the wall from a teacher. Oh yeah, my mom came marching down, but they didn't do anything. But kids putting wood chips in my mouth, and then I finally turned and I started becoming a bully and bugging kids and making fun of kids because it was easy and it felt like it was the right thing. And so the angel, truly, from my book was Mrs. Sherry. She was my sixth grade teacher, and
she's for real, Mrs. Sherry.
Mrs. Sherry, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wrote a big blog post about her for a while ago, and she turned my life around. She saved me, and she actually cared, and she connected, and she brought me into her world in a way that we want teachers to do now. I mean, she and her husband had a small shop downtown Davis. She invited us there. We'd hang out with her. And, she read us books every day after lunch. We'd all be on the floor with our eyes closed and bringing literature to life. And she wanted to know about Jeff, and she wanted to help Jeff, and she loved me. And that's what I finally learned that I needed to do to all kids.
Wow, Mrs. Sherry, that gave me goosies too, because I was like, she's for real. That was the angel.
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Well, she was. So, but it was neat too. She passed about a year ago, and I reconnected with her. So to have been connected to a teacher for 40 plus years is pretty special.
Oh, that is. It's so rare, and yet, wait. Let's just make a challenge right now. Because when I speak, I ask people to write a letter. Think about who your balcony people are. And I'm bringing this up because it's so apropos to what we're talking about. But who are the few people in your life that have always been there to lift you up and cheer you on, right? And it could go back to a teacher. And I ask people to write a letter. I hand them a card. And Jeff, just knowing what you just said, right? Send somebody a letter and let them know how much they impacted you. And even if they're no longer alive, send it to a loved one or a family member. And let them know how much that person meant to you and the fact that you got to stay in touch with her for 40 years. And I know you've probably been asked this 100 times. Did she know about the book? Had you started it before she passed?
I had not. And so when you get to the back of it, you will see a small dedication to Paula Sherry. But I did write a few things on her Facebook page that were monitored by her niece, and so I'm sure Miss Sherry is looking down and knows that I dedicated the book to her, and she's probably read it a few times with me already. So
I love that. And so we're going to just talk about the book right now because we're going to go back and forth a couple times here. So I'm dying to know, why Gus? Why did you name him Gus?
Well, Gus is me,
right?
But the name Gus, my son Braden, who's a wonderful little spitting image of Jeff, loves little Gus Gus from Cinderella, the mouse.
Oh, okay.
And, little Gus Gus is kind of full of, he's got a little bit of energy. And Braden just loved growing up. He's a little guy. He always loved saying Gus Gus. And I just thought, Gus is pretty cool. He could fit that image pretty well. So there you go.
I love it. Well, I knew that I had to ask that. I couldn't just wait on that one. I'm like, okay, so why Gus? So people will soon find out the book, and we might as well talk about it right now. You just launched it this May, like literally last month. One Drop of Kindness. And it's a beautiful story. And what provoked you to do this story? Like, why was it just now? Why not sooner?
It was like you, oftentimes, Holly, you get called by God to do certain things, and it just felt like it was the right time in my heart. You look at our world, not only, leaders of global countries and that I believe need kindness, but we all do. And if we can't embed that now into our 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, we're going to fall back even more. And I think to put that into our schools, our classrooms, our churches, our public offices, where, whatever. But it really does just take one drop. That one drop of kindness really can change someone's life, save them. And it's easy. We just get carried away following the bad news. But when we get captivated by the things that bring a smile or fill our hearts, then it sure makes life a lot better.
Oh, and you're right. I don't want anybody to miss this. What you just said at the very start of that was when we get the call from God. I call it the nudge from above. When God is nudging us, please listen, right? Like, don't ignore it. And when people say, how do you know if it's a nudge from God? I say it's a burning desire in your heart. It's the butterflies on the shoulders, as I like to tell kids. It's what God puts on us, on our heart, and you can't shake it, right? You can't stop thinking about it.
Exactly.
So I'd love to know, how are you? So I love this book. I love what you're about. I love that you are present right now, literally sitting in the school and in a room where you could get an air conditioner and peace and quiet to do this show with me. And so how are you doing this at school? And talk to us about, is it middle school, high school? How are you implementing kindness? What kind of things have you put in place? Because I'll tell you in a minute about a lot of educators that listen to this show. So I know they're all dying to know.
Yeah. So as a principal, there's 800 students here, and of course, we all, try to do different character education and things like that. And I believe strongly in student voice and choice. And so at the beginning of the year, I had 3 lovely girls that said, Mr. K, can we start a kindness club? And I said, of course we can. And so we decided to call it Monday Kindness Crew with a K. They had to make sure they knew it was a K. And we decided every Wednesday we were going to start doing. And it was driven by my 3 lovely friends, and it grew to the end of the year where we were about 30 strong. And every Wednesday, they would come up with what we were going to do the next week. And so was it painting kindness rocks? Was it writing cards to the staff? Was it gathering things for homeless or those without? Was it chalking up the school with wonderful messages? Whatever it was, it came from them. And there's a lovely educator friend of mine named Tamara Letter who wrote a book called A Passion for Kindness, which is a wonderful book. I want to give that a shout out because a lot of these things Tamara had done too. But so my 3 girls, they went with it, and I supported them. I got them everything I needed, and it really was a ripple effect. And kids would be running everywhere trying to find a kindness rock because they would get a little card which would enable them to get a prize. And the teachers would come to me and say, oh, thank you, Jeff. That was just what I needed. And I felt like, this is where it needs to be. And so over Thanksgiving, I basically wrote the book in 3 or 4 days as far as the meat and potatoes, and it just, I'd wake up about 3 and just write. That's all I did. And of course, thanks to wonderful family and educator friends, it is now a living document. So,
I love that. And I love the story and how you're taking this and those kids, and just to know that the 3 lovely ladies, right? Those young girls, and how they created, we want to start a club, and look at what's happened. And the beauty of that is it came, as I say, plant the seeds and let the seeds sprout. Don't push things on people. Let the pull begin. They created this. And you were like, let's go. Let's run with it. So they're getting to be edified by knowing that they are making a difference, and they get to be the ones doing it. Oh, I love this, Jeff. This is amazing. Oh, well, and you know what? You said something too. This goes way beyond the walls of schools. I mean, it's way needed in schools, because this is where how we begin to understand society. Like your experience, fortunately, you've done something good with it. You could have been living with years of hostility and anger and never chosen to be in education because of your personal experience, right?
Yeah.
So God's using you to take something that we always call those challenges, right? People like you and I say challenges they're really not challenges. They're gifts. They're just waiting to be opened. And those opportunities. So I love that you've taken this. Take me back to those years back, because how did you go from being, not loving education, having a really bad experience, my heart's still broken knowing a teacher shoved your head into a wall. Ugh. How did you go from that into being such an amazing, successful swimmer? I mean, how do you link the two together? I want people to hear for you, right? How did that work?
Well, so there's kind of like two little roads that collide. One, I grew up with an angry father, and he had a terrible life growing up, and he struggled and did his best. Beautiful, big heart, but he struggled. And so that's something I've always fought with myself. And so as part of my getaway or find something, my mom and dad were wonderfully supportive. They put me into every sport in the world. They didn't push me. They supported. They wanted me to do it. So in Davis, there's so many amazing youth activities. And, I played soccer. I played baseball, tried, martial arts. And my sister swam. And so, boom, I was swimming. And by the age of 4, I was on the team. And it was just something that felt good. I was a little teeny guy, so I had to work my tail off to keep up. And I found like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. And I kept working harder and harder and got faster and faster. And I loved the way it made me feel, not only to go fast, but when I'm in the water, I'm on my own. There's no one else in my world, and it allows me to go anywhere. And like yesterday, I got home from school, it's 106 degrees. I got in the pool and just floated on my back. Oh. And I couldn't hear anything except my heart. And water is my medium. Surfing, water, scuba diving, whatever. And so working that hard and putting that into swimming, and then having the amazing coaches that I did, especially in college, Pete Accardi, bless his soul, believed in me and pushed me to the next level. And then I had other coaches keep pushing me to the next level. And, I did pretty well. I had a pretty good ride with it.
And I love that you could have, that was almost therapy. It was therapy.
It still is.
Yeah. And the way you said, I came home yesterday and the water, that's your sanctuary. The water is my sanctuary. Now, by the way, can I give a caveat? I don't want anybody to think that I'm a swimmer like you. I'm the woman in the pool with the little things on your hands and the little noodles. I'm paddling around because I love doing exercises in the water. But
we see the smile on your face, and that we love.
Totally. But I always say to people, water is my sanctuary. It's where I feel, I don't know. It's so funny the way you said I floated on my back and I could hear my heart. For me, that's my time. It's the most sacred, special time, right? It's my quiet time with God. It's everything. So I hope people are listening. It doesn't mean you have to go find a pool, or if you don't live near water, find something that gives you that sanctuary, because I believe silence is nectar for the soul, and we don't give ourselves enough of it. So I love that you just shared how important water is for you. Yeah. And Jeff, it's fascinating because when I was thinking about feeling so honored to get to have you on the show, and I was getting all excited to talk about you and your book. And I want here in a minute for you, 2 things I'm going to ask for you to, let people know how to get the book, because I really want to promote your book because I think it's amazing. And by the way, I don't think this book only belongs in schools. I don't see why the corporate arena wouldn't love this book. People need to be reminded of what kindness can do. So I just had to say that, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be promoting it. I didn't think you knew that yet. Oh yeah. But you know what? This is what we need. And it's simple and it's profound and it's a nice reminder. And so as I was thinking about, this is God, right? What I'm going to tell you is all God. I'm thinking about getting ready to celebrate you. And I've been on the road every week of 2019, by the way. And it's all a blessing and bonus. And it was time, like the rest of this month, I'm taking some time to just pause, take care of Holly, focus on my husband, and focus on the business. But I got these beautiful, I get beautiful things in the mail. People send me their books and beautiful little nuggets, and I get these beautiful letters. So I had opened up this letter the other day. And the reason this is so important to share with you is I have it actually sitting next to me because there's somebody I'm going to be making an introduction of you to. So about 3 years ago, I was asked to be the keynote speaker for the annual kickoff event for back to school for all the teachers in Bentonville School District, Bentonville, Arkansas. You know, right? Huge district. And I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And I'm going to tie a lot of what I do, which I don't have anything out of the box. I like to know, what do you want? And helping teachers. Basically what I did was I called it Find the Gift, and rekindle the spirit as you start back to school to realize that every child that you have the privilege of getting to educate who's going to be in your room, they all have a gift, and you might be the only person in their life that sees it. So
no doubt.
So aligned with what you're doing. The reason I'm sharing this with you, and I want the listeners, I've never talked about this, but about a month after that, or no, probably a couple months after that, I get a beautiful letter from a woman that was a teacher in that audience, and her name, and I'm going to give her a shout out, Amanda Hines, been a teacher there for 17 years. She sends me this beautiful letter saying how much that day changed her life. And it was like she said, God spoke through me to give her the nudge to do what she's always had a passion to do. She loves to teach, but she said, I pulled out where I had written down, you had us write what we love to do. And I'm going to read to you. I love helping teen girls and encouraging women of all ages. She said that moment changed my life forever. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I've been teaching since 7th grade for 15 years. And I decided it was time to start the club I've been wanting to start, Muscles and Makeup Developing Confidence from the Inside Out.
Oh,
I know, right?
Amazing.
She started it within a few months after that moment, sends me this long letter. Okay, so Jeff, I hope you're sitting down. I know you're sitting down. You're in the cold room now. All right. We're by the beach with our feet in the water, like we started.
Yeah.
A week ago while I'm gone, and I opened this up as I got home in preparation and then thinking about going to have you on the show, I get another beautiful package from her they had their finale, meeting of the group. I'm not going to read you the whole letter, but the magnitude of the courage that she now has, what she's done with these young women. Now boys want to be a part of it. And she said, I still can't thank you enough. She said, the finale of Muscles and Makeup, they had their big meeting, and it's sitting here in the letter in my hand. Over 100 girls were at it. Most meetings average 75. And I thought you'd like to see all of the things and the goodies. She sent me a package of their little journal they make for them. The girls got to create it, and it's all about giving them confidence from the inside out.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's funny because that just popped into my head. There's two dear author friends of mine, Adam Welcome and Lynn Cologne. They just came out with a book called Empower Our Girls. Ooh. And it's by Dave Burgess Consulting. And you want to give that a check out because similar to what Muscles and Makeup do, it's got vignettes, stories, and ways for girls just to bust out and be what they need to be. And I love Miss Hines because
I know you do. I knew
that gave me full goosies.
I know. I love it that you got the goosies. So Amanda Hines and Jeff Kubiak, you're about to become connected and become dear friends. And the timing, I'm covered in goosies. It's all divine timing. And I'm going to be making the email introduction. And I know she listens to the show because in her letter, she says, I get all excited to listen to your show because it continues to give me inspiration. So little does she know when we launch this, she's going to be mentioned. And Jeff, you and her, I'm just so grateful for people that have chosen to spend their life in education and what you're doing to make a difference. And I'm going to, oh my gosh, our show keeps going. I still want to get back to asking you one more thing that I want you to share with everybody. Before that, I'm going to ask you to pray about this and put it under your hat and think about this. But I've been a partner of Girl Up, right, with United Nations, and I'm passionate about inspiring young women and empowering them. And having been a woman that has been through some, domestic abuse and all that, I'm really big on empowering young women. But God gave me boys. I'm a mother of boys. And every time I march back east to the UN and sit down to be with everybody, I know they go, here comes Holly. Because I'm like, when are we starting Boy Up? Because boys need to be just as empowered so they have the confidence of how to own who they are and therefore treat women with respect. I feel like we're still creating two islands out there. So I'm putting that out to you, Jeff. I have a mission on my heart and I don't know what it's going to take, but I want to start doing something to help boys. Are you in?
I'm beyond in, and I'm ready to, let's go right now.
Okay.
I can't agree more. I look around my school every day and I see this boy or that boy yes, they have got to have something, because those ones, we don't need them to be, pardon my expression, but the next older white people of our democracy. And
right.
We don't need the cyclical. We've got them to treat people the way that people need to be treated, regardless of what gender they may choose or wear. And, I love it. Love it. I'm fired up. Up.
Well, and it's so funny. Think about, okay, here come the Goosies again. Think about what we're talking about. And your book, One Drop of Kindness, is all about a boy named Gus. So it's right. It's like it's all aligned. And oh, yes, I know this is coming. It's happening. It's just getting the right people with the right passion in our hearts to say, and it starts with the younger kids. And when you just said generational, it's very generational. I mean, when I speak to youth, I've had lines of kids and boys too crying, saying, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to beat my future wife. Like, kids are opening up and saying, but it takes somebody to help them, give them the tools to say, right, I don't want to do what I've always seen or all I've ever known. So I think our show's turning into our new passion project. Here we go.
Anytime.
So now what I want you to tell everybody, okay, first, before you tell us how to get the book and all that, will you give us, I love to ask the guests, take us back to that, sometimes I say 25-year-old self, but I want to go younger. Take us back to that younger boy who's really the Gus in the story. But, based on who you are today, Jeff, and what you know and your life experiences and where you've come, what advice would you give your younger self, that younger boy, based on what you know today?
Be patient with every person you meet, because if we don't understand what they're thinking or where they've been, we won't be fair to their heart.
That is profound.
And, my lovely wife, Piper, brings that back to me all the time, because like we were just speaking of, my dad had some qualities or some traits that probably you wouldn't be proud of. And those are things I push very hard on myself to try to break the pattern. And it's not easy.
No, it's not. And I think everybody listening and myself, we've all come from dysfunctional backgrounds, and even with great intention, right? People I don't think they come into this world intentionally trying to hurt people. It's what are we willing to grow from it and break some patterns. So
yeah. And when you asked me that question about, going back to the Jeff, it's like, I was too quick to judge, and most of us are. It's either by a quick visual or image or something we see someone wearing, and boom, we make our mind up. We've already been impractical and unfair, and we gotta break that.
One of the things I share with leaders all over the world is change a label, change a life. Because if you really, really knew someone's story, and if you were willing to think, you may never know what's going on with that negative colleague of yours or that negative, right? We make so many assumptions based on so many things on the outside. But if you knew the story, you could actually change a label. And my favorite quote, and I know you know this quote, it's Mr. Rogers. He used to carry it around in his pocket. And it's one of my favorite quotes. There isn't a person you couldn't love if you knew their story.
That is just, that should be we should all have that on our tattoo or something.
All right, let's do that too on our next project.
Everyone's forehead should have that on tattoo, so we are constantly reminded of it.
Well, it goes in line with your book. So now I want you to tell everybody two things as we wrap the show up. I'm so excited to have you announce any details around the book. Where can they buy it? How can they get it? Can we do something special for the listeners if they would like to get the book? You let me know, whatever that works and looks like for you. And then how can people reach out and learn more about you? Can you tell us all that?
Yeah. So jeffkubiak.com is kind of the hub of all. My lovely wife she's been experimenting and practicing as she built our website, and she's been lovely from zero knowledge to becoming awesome. So jeffkubiak.com has amazing kindness resources, kindness challenges. It has a place where you can buy a personalized book for anything you'd like. And then you can also go to the link on Amazon where One Drop of Kindness lives there as well. I am at Twitter. I'm a very active Twitter user at Jeffrey Kubiak. I'm also, I have a Facebook page, One Drop of Kindness. And I'm also on my website, I'm running a campaign. It's pretty cool. I created a One Drop of Kindness t-shirt, and all the proceeds go to buying books and helping our incarcerated teens become literate. And that campaign runs until the 18th. And so part of my mission of the book is that a big chunk of my proceeds are always going to go to help those without. So if it's going to be donating clean water, books, writing materials, shoes, socks, whatever it is, that's what I need to do. So.
Oh, I love that. And I love where the proceeds are going for those incarcerated teens that need to get literate, right? Giving them an opportunity to find their voice, learn how to read. Oh, I just got so excited. And usually they're behind bars, and it's because it's all they've ever known.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly.
Yep. And that anger, and it's about kindness. So I'm so excited. And I do believe we're connected on all social media, but can you please make sure of that when we hang up? I want to make sure you and I are connected on everything, because I just did a post today about your book. You were one of a couple of my favorite people that have sent me their books and things that I'm doing because of it. So, thank you for being here, Jeff. Thank you for what you're doing with your passion and your heart and your spirit in our world. And if I'm ever near you, I'm going to look you up if I'm ever in your neck of the woods. And if you're ever in Arizona, let me know. Okay? Please.
Blessed and honored, my dear friend. Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, love. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.